The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mind Garden media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions. Season 4 continues on, and we finally come through with something we promised 8 months ago.
Yeah, really, seriously, 8 months ago. Holly Hughes has returned to the Sandy and Toddcast, and it was a great conversation we had with Holly the other night. So we're going to share it with everybody today.
Very excited about it. The one, the only Holly Hughes is back. Season 4, Episode 9 is Hooray for Holly Hughes, Part 2, and it's next on the Sandy and Toddcast.
I'm Vicki Hackbarth, owner of Chakra Awakening, LLC. I'm a certified Reiki master providing services which include past life karma clearing. Karma from your past lives affect you today. Karma is the memory of our souls, which often stem from prior lives. What we didn't finish then, we come back to finish now. Unpleasant situations are the consequence of lingering karma, which can be reversed and resolved. I can help you clear the past life karma carried over from former lifetimes. For more information, find me on Facebook at Chakra Awakening, LLC.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day, all while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
Part 2 on the Sandy and Toddcast is brought to you by Chesterfield Cigarettes. The cool, clean smoke that won't give you cancer. Maybe. Also brought to you by Bromosil. When you've been out too late the night before, have a Bromosil in the morning. It's a good pick-me-up. And by Taster's Choice Coffee Crystals. If your wife can't make coffee, now she can just spoon it in and mix it with water. Taster's Choice. Now here's your hosts, Sandy and Todd. That's all I got.
That was an entrance.
Yeah. I love that era of announcing, and everything was even the acting in movies back then was over the top, you know?
Yeah. You know, first of all, I have to ask you, what the heck was Bromosil? Was that supposed to be some sort of...
I think it's Bromoseltzer or something like that. And then, but there's all sorts of something, bromoquinine pills will help you. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff.
So basically, if you went out and drank way too much and ended up, doing things you probably shouldn't have, and you wake up the next morning, and that's supposed to help you get over it.
Alka-Seltzer or something like that. Whatever.
Interesting.
I was just making stuff up, so.
I know. I know you were, but that was very good. You did
Brought
a great
to
job
you
with
by...
that.
I just love that stuff. And I was looking at something else today. One of my favorite movies from like 1939. Likely my favorite movie, period. Mm-hmm. But The Wizard of Oz. Yes. They are auctioning off one of the oil cans from The Wizard of Oz. And they're expecting to make about $200,000 on this oil can. So
wow. Now, speaking of that, did you know that there were like 3 different pairs of ruby slippers?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, there were like 3 different pairs. One of them we actually got to see when we were in Washington, D.C. They were at the Smithsonian. And I was very excited about that. I got to see the actual ruby slippers. And then there was a pair that I think and somebody can fact check me on this because I'm totally not prepared to tell the story, but the 2 other pairs, one of them was stolen.
Right. I think that's true.
And I think that's still missing today, if I'm not mistaken, because I watched Josh Gates, I think it was, go on a sort of a journey to see if they could find them. And of course they don't. But And then I think a collector has the third pair.
I think I know where that stolen pair is, because do you remember Pope Benedict? The one before the current Pope. If you look back, there's some pictures of him with some pretty ruby red shoes on.
Oh, see?
I think he may have had a little something for Dorothy and, cross-dressing.
Yeah, well,
but
you never know.
I digress. So how are you?
The Catholic Church is a little wonky sometimes.
No, not at all.
I'm doing good. I'm excited. We've made even more plans for the visit in June, of course. Now we are going, I am so excited about this, and you make fun of me all the time, but we have solidified our plans. We're going to Washington Island, and we're going to stay 2 nights. We're going not on Washington Island, but we're going to go to Washington Island one day and then visit Door County in Wisconsin the other day. And we're going to stay right up in Sister Bay, which is going to be so cool. And we're going to go to all the cool places and do all the cool things. So I'm really excited about that. Sort of a vacation within a vacation.
Now, I told myself I would never, ever even step foot on Washington Island again.
I know.
So I'm doing this, but it's all only for the day.
Yes.
And I have to implore us to take as much protection as we can. We should all be, when we walk, you should be hearing things rattling and jingling in our pockets, because if you go to Door County, there's some lovely stuff to check out. There's just an underlying eeriness to the place.
Yeah, I get it. Especially knowing, your story, that the things that you experienced. And so, we're going to bring I'll have all of my good protection stuff, and we'll say a few little protection prayers. And speaking of protection, our conversation with Holly the other night kind of went in that direction. And we talked a lot about protecting yourself in different scenarios and different things that might be going on in your life. We talked about the Ukraine situation and the world in general, and also protecting yourself from maybe bad energy that is out there in specific places, in specific scenarios. So great conversation with Holly. I love her.
Yeah. And we're going to get to that in a second. And one of the things, I was able to have a conversation with her kind of off the record too. And my conversation was always, and I'll bring this up, I don't know if it made the audio cut, but I always worry about people who think they're protected, who think they know enough. And that's why, I used to give you a lot of crap about walking in the mist and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because I think that there is a false sense of safety when you're talking about dealing with paranormal stuff, when you're talking about dealing with woo-woo stuff, just in general. I've had enough experiences in my life to know it's really hard to trust anybody.
Right.
So protection to me is very, very important. And it was very nice to, to kind of get her in some agreeance to that. Just basically saying, you really do need to be careful, Yeah,
it was a great conversation. Not to harp on the black mist, but we joke about it a lot, and you break my chops and stuff. But, back when I first started that, I really didn't understand what protection was. And that was on me for not understanding. I had protection that night. I had protection with me that night. But I don't think I realized at that point, because it was so new to me, what that meant.
Right.
And so now I'm in we're talking many, many investigations down the road, much more experience. And now I have a very good idea of what is needed to do that. So it's a great conversation to have, because we see a lot of people, we bring it up all the time, TikTokers who go out there and just do crazy stunts without truly stopping to think about what it actually means. I mean, this stuff is much bigger than we are, than us. It's much bigger than we are. And so it's really important to prepare yourself and to really learn how to protect yourself in any way that you can.
Well, we're definitely going to talk about that. We're going to talk about other stuff, too, with the one and only Holly Hughes. Season 4, Episode 9, Hooray for Holly Hughes. Part 2 starts now on the Sandy and Toddcast. Well, one of the things I do want to talk to you about is protection. Because, I think, I know Sandy's got some stuff she wants to talk about it, but I actually think it falls under protection as well, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And, I've always given Sandy hell about walking into black mist and stuff, but we've kind of run into, in our circle of people, we've kind of run into a situation where we're finding out that there's some stuff to be worried about. And I think my concern is that so often in the community, people act invincible all the time around me, and it drives me crazy. And they'll say, well, why don't you open up? Well, because I've had shit happen. So that's why my walls are up. But protection, I think, is just so important, because when you see the monster, you know enough to be afraid of it. But when the monster is next to you and it seems like it's a friend, it's a cohort, it's a confidant, and it really isn't, you've just put yourself in a really bad situation. And that's kind of like what we've been dealing with a little bit here. Protection to me is really important. So can you kind of discuss your thoughts on protection and maybe ways people can protect themselves in everyday situations, day to day, whether it's in the woo-woo world or just like in life in general?
Yeah, I wish I could blow up my screen. Since I'm having technical difficulties, I'm not touching anything tonight. But what I'm going to do, I haven't done this with you guys. I haven't really been open or very reedy with you. Like, I know I can make your pendulum move through your energy last time.
Yes, you can.
But wait, I'm not even wearing any stone. Crap. At least I have a white candle going. But I think that's many tiered and many layered question, and depending on what's going on. So I know in general, I know Sandy, you're definitely dealing with, and obviously Todd too, is that the world, we're at this tipping point, and anyone with any gifts of any kind on any level, who pursue any sort of creative dream is what I've been calling it. Last year, like starting in summer through now, has been a destruction of gold. Right? I think how you thought the way your life was going to be, how you thought your career path was going to be, how your artistic endeavors were going to be, how maybe your healing gifts were going to be presented into the world, all of that. The world has said, yes, you did the traditional way, but now we're at the age of Aquarius. So I'm going to destroy that. I'm going to see how you survive that. And then we're just going to make room for something better. Now, how and what that is, I'm not going to let you know, because I think you should live in uncertainty and get rid of your ego and maybe just see what it is to offer your gifts and see what happens. Like that is very much what I've been experiencing, right? Like, da-da-da-da-da. And now we're here and we've got Russia and the Ukraine and all these people who want to control the world. I don't know what's so great about controlling it. Like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. But again, with that age of Aquarius is it has to be the darkest before all of this new stuff. Yeah. So that is my personal way, how I survive the hate, war, whatever. Because when I woke up and that was going on, I was like, oh, yeah. Right. And even my husband's like, if this is what you feel like all the time, because his gifts are opening a bit more. Yeah. I said, yeah. And this is I watch Korean dramas because it mellows me out and it just takes me away. But in doing so, what I've been doing is being super grateful, right? Just to set the intention of I am really grateful. I'm safe. Right now I'm healthy because I had COVID really bad. Don't even get me started. And then I ground in peace. And then what I say is I am part of the light grid of the planet and I connect to that. Right. And that's kind of how I've been setting boundaries. Now, when dark energy comes or like bad ghosts or like wherever, which way you want to go, like when my family's been on a trip and there's been dark energy in like a very old house, I won't even go on the street. I just can't because it attaches and then bad things happen. Yeah. Right. I feel sick. I get sick. Bad things happen. I can feel it on me and it's awful. So I don't even go there. And one of the 72 names of God is Kaf He Taf. I don't know if you know Hebrew, but you can probably throw that one out. But that is to remove negative energy. And so, Todd, to what you were saying, when I get around people who are super negative and maybe I'm in a situation where I can't leave, or they're part of something that's going on, in my head, I'm like, cafe top. Just, I ask for a wall of God's light just to keep me separate from them. And then I exit stage left as quickly as I possibly can.
It's interesting that we're talking about intentions, because Todd and I had this discussion a little bit earlier today, that I do believe that just as much as anything else in the woo-woo spiritual world, that intentions, that the mind is so incredibly powerful. And I think it's our biggest weapon, because when you set your intentions, we set intentions when we meditate, when we manifest, anything that we do, we're setting our intentions. And I guess it's important for people to understand that people can set negative intentions. But the way that we can help that is by our own more positive intentions and counteracting that. They're so strong.
I don't think you can block negative intention with positive intention. Personally, I think you need to call something stronger, shinier, and more powerful than you. And it's tricky because I know ego gets super involved. I know, again, like stuff happening with me, people who were friends and clients suddenly weren't, and they're bullying me, or they're using my content and saying it's theirs, and like that's infuriating. So or just I found out someone was just talking about me in not a nice way, and I was like, I haven't even seen you in 5 years. Why am I a topic? Right? Like let it go. And then I was like, I gotta let that go. I have to not engage my ego and be super hurt or whatever. But lately I've been calling on Archangel Michael and his blue sword. Love that blue sword. And I ask him to wipe it above, below, to the right and left and all around me, to like cut any cords or connections that they might be sending my way, so that I don't get that. And then I ask for an energetic boundary of safety.
That's great.
You could put Michael and have his sword go around your house, your apartment. You can make that go as big as you want, because Michael is enormous. So I do that. I call upon whatever. If I'm feeling feisty, is that a nice way to put it? Because I have a temper. Like I can fully, it takes a lot to make me mad, but I do have a temper. So when I feel very heated, I'll call on Kali, right? So she's the Indian goddess of Western interpretation is death and destruction, but she's night. So she's endings for new beginnings. And she's the woman who's depicted blue with her tongue sticking out like that. Isn't that pretty? No one else can see it. And she has like 7 men's heads on her belt. Like she's a badass. And
Yes, she is.
I like her.
I really like her. And when I first was connecting, I was like, oh, that's not so nice. But I asked for her to show up. I was like, get between me and them and just fucking just knock that off.
And how is that if somebody wants to look her up and find out more about her? Is it
Kali?
Okay.
Kali.
Someone
I
meaning
actually have
me.
a picture of her on my desktop. I love her. She's awesome.
Like somebody meaning me. If somebody wants to look her up.
Kali.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can find different depictions of her. So like small, like one time I just asked her to hang out on my shoulder for a while because I was feeling attacked for whatever reason. Right. And so for me, I was like, you just step in so I don't have to be so conscious about it because it was exhausting.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. I have to look her up. She is a badass.
Is she also part of Hinduism?
I believe so.
Okay. Cause I'm seeing some versions of her and she's got the tongue sticking out. Yeah.
Yeah. So, some of the images are kind of they're not Americanized US versions, right? That's not, you have to be open.
Yes.
To something else. Yeah.
So
I'm trying to find the one I have.
Our podcast took a little bit of a turn this year because besides not doing a live cast and things like that. Yeah.
yes. Okay, I love her already.
I have a pretty one. I'll email you the pretty one I have. But
Okay.
Sandy's like you just looking in a mirror, isn't it? I mean, pretty much it's the
quiet.
same thing.
Oh,
nice.
So our podcast took a little bit of a turn, and part of it was, I think, and I don't want to speak for Sandy, but I think that she'll agree with me. We were finding part of the woo-woo world to be not love and light, like they say.
Yep.
More, I almost wanted to say it was like veiled hate.
Yeah.
Oh, she's rocking.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great.
I'll stop.
So more like veiled hate. I was kind of reading and stuff, and also racism and all this kind of stuff mixed into it. Just kind of just beneath the.
They're low vibing. The low vibing. Low vibing.
And so we kind of said to ourselves, is this really what we want to be a part of? And there was one individual that was primarily the source of us feeling this way, but we were kind of getting the vibe of it from other sources as well. And I wanted to get your take on that. Is it because I trust you, is it as prominent as we immediately thought, or is there a redeeming quality for us to look at here?
Okay, I will give you my experience. It's complicated. I think that there are so many good people doing good work. I really do. And I think even though many people might share or want to contribute to the world the same kind of messages, right? Maybe someone needs to hear it from you too. And how you speak, even if you and I are going to talk about the same thing. And maybe someone needs to hear it from me the way I speak. Maybe someone needs to hear it from Charlie Brown the way Charlie Brown speaks. So sometimes, even though we might be sharing messages of, kindness, love, and light, or healing, or whatever the modality is, I know your sister's really getting into it and really exploring, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of like yogis, where there's many good yogis, and then I'm a writer. So I wrote this line. I was writing an essay about someone in my experience of this kind of stuff that you're talking about. And what I wrote is my favorite sentence in a really long time was, she's just another yogi with an eating disorder, which is terrible and cruel, but exceedingly honest, right? Because they're up there preaching movement and health and whatever, but they have their own bag of rocks. Right. I have my own bag of rocks. I'm pretty open about most of them. So my experience with my teachers has been, I've had some teachers don't like you learning. They want you to always just come back and be beholden to them. Right. Some teachers get really envious when you excel, right? And some people are just mean, and they're not actually tapped into any gifts. They have a shtick.
Yeah.
And I think it's about discerning, what works for you and your community. So for me, my community of people I trust is small.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who do it. And it's just that it's just like, we just don't fit. We're on a different vibration. Mm-hmm. So like, I think your sister's studying Reiki. I don't need Reiki. I just level up past it, but she loves it and it's working for her. So why would I ever put that down? You're learning something. That's awesome. For me, a little bit of Reiki is, well, you have to go to this level and you have to do it this way. That's putting me in a box, and I'm not a box girl in general. So that's I'm iffy on that part.
I mean, for me, the whole thing is you have people that you gather information from, you gather learning from, you listen to. I ask you questions, you tell me your feelings on it. I take that. I think one of the most important parts of all this is for you to take the information you've just received and process it for you. And the person that you turn to the most for the information, for the guidance, for the knowledge isn't the beat all end all with all the answers and everything they say is 100% gospel. You still you have to take that and put it into your experience and create your reality out of it in everyday life, whether they do the woo-woo 24/7 or they just are kind of interested in it. They have a couple of crystals, they do prayers, they do whatever. I just think it's so darn important. And I think people tend to think that they're invincible, and that scares the hell out of me.
You know, when we first started doing the podcast and we started
50 years ago, it feels like 50
I know,
fucking
doesn't
years.
It wasn't that long ago, though,
It was
right?
like a little over a year ago, like a year and a quarter. We started to go into the woo-woo direction. And it was I would consider it at the beginning of my self-awareness journey. And so I really was excited about it because the idea of the whole woo-woo world, the whole community is very inviting because everyone accepts you. Everyone, I felt like there was so much to learn. You think that. You think that. Exactly. And so I thought to myself, there's so much to learn here. So I kind of threw myself into it. And I think that there's two different types of people. There's the person who throws themselves into it and goes in that direction indefinitely. And then there's the person that throws themselves into it, but then at some point stops and says, wait a minute, maybe 150 miles an hour into this isn't quite who I am. And you start to see things a little bit differently. Now, I am still learning in that facet, but I've sort of gone on my own path now. And I think Todd is the same way. And that's why we sort of stepped back and took what is beneficial to us, what we can connect with, what we can learn. And then we sort of started to step away from it because we are not the kind of people to take the path of just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. We just took it and left.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me is that I have lines I won't cross in the community. I will never do ayahuasca. I will not trip. I don't do any drugs because I see things without them.
Right.
I can't imagine what would be open, right? Like one woman kept pushing me, like, you really need to do plant medicine. I actually don't. I actually have a choice. She's like, you can trust me. I'm like, wait, I have gifts. You don't even see things. And you're telling me you're going to create a safe space?
That's the thing. The more my gifts are starting to open up, and they're starting to open up more and more now, the less I need to be doing anything extra. Yeah, because it's enough to try and handle what I've got on my plate than try to invite more of it in.
I think there's a lot of extra right here, the three of us. That's a lot of extra.
I was just going to say.
I've had my gifts my whole life, but I've only in the past 6 years am public with them.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a thing that I knew that I had. Sometimes it was a party trick. Sometimes it was whatever. So you can go deeper, as deep as you want or not as you want. Right. And you don't have, it doesn't have to be a steady this. It could be this, and I'm not in the mood for that. It could be that's super interesting. I'd love to know about tarot decks, or I prefer rune stones or pendulums, but those lie. I think whatever modality, it is really about connecting. My brand is of whatever light energy beings, whatever. And you can get a little information, or maybe you could feel a little better. I mean, if we're going to circle back to protection, I am a sincere, deep believer in salt baths and scrubbing with salt in the shower. Mm-hmm. And for me, when I do it, it's always get whatever's negative off. Just get it off my body. I don't want it, right? Like, a friend of mine showed me there's actually like sea salt baths stuff. And that's super good. Like it's if you're near a body of water, go in that nature, grounding and clearing at the same time. You just have to ask for it to, be off. Like, again, you lucky people at home can't see me. I'm like flicking my own skin, like just like
flicking my own skin. I love that.
Just flick. I do it to my husband when he's in a mood. I'm like, go away. I zapped him in his sleep. He woke up. He's like, you zapped me. I'm like, yeah, because you were like way killing the bit mood. Like you were so full of anxiety. I couldn't deal with it. I was like, please, in your sleep, heal him, send him love and light, just shut the fuck up. And I think is also, we're here to be human. So I'm not better than a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like I have my
There are
flaws.
some people that you're better than. I get it.
Yeah, the rest of them, the ones that
get
aren't a
through.
lot.
Right. But I think in the woo-woo community, you can find great people and you can find not great people. And
As with anything in life,
Correct. But you two have this beautiful like balance between the two of you, right? Between the two, your relationship is love and friendship and balance and different perspective, but shared interest. And I think that's the scope he's making faces. That's the scope of going into anything kind of woo-woo.
Yeah, I agree.
So one of the things that was floating around is what has to happen for us to level up.
My experience of leveling up. I'm going to speak to my life and what I've done. I can do some work. Now, you are dealing with physical ailments, right? I have been knocked down myself a few times, and my perspective that gets me through it is I must need to slow down. I need my body and my mind, my spirit. Part of me needs such a deep rest that I wasn't listening. And so God kicked, right? Like, let's go, Holly, lay down. And in those moments when I'm feeling sad and depressed or helpless, I get really introverted, right? So I'm an expressive introvert. So I'm like really internal then. And I will be like, what's going on? What do I need? What am I holding on to that's not working for me? What belief is that? Whatever. And I just kind of, I do a process of surrendering. And sometimes that's just honestly giving up whatever I thought should be. Right? I thought I should be healthy. I shouldn't have these problems, whatever it could be. Get ugly and get out. For me, writing is really cathartic. It doesn't have to be anything anyone sees. And I did like all of that. And then when you get through it, you level up. Most likely you'll get more insight, more gifts, whatever. It usually feels like some sort of, I guess depression is not really the best word for it, but typically for me, before I level up, things go awry in many manner, like besides frying computers or whatever, things just aren't going my way. And I'm frustrated and I get really sad. And then I am like, I ask for help, right? Up above kind of help. And then most of the time it shows up. Never in the timing that I want. Timing is my big conundrum in this life. Personally, I'm like, isn't now good? 10 years ago, that would have been really cool. But I kind of got to let that go. Right. So that's usually when I level up. When I try to study to connect to something higher, I get information, but it doesn't mean it becomes part of my DNA until I am in that space and that is aligned. So no outside force from you can level up. Like if you want to connect to Palladians and you study about Palladians and you learn their frequency and you do all these things and you want to talk to them, doesn't mean you're gonna.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
And now I'm going to talk about me for a second.
Imagine that. I'll just shut off my microphone and listen.
Be quiet. Todd knows this. Right around the end of last year, the last few months of last year, I started to go into a spiral. I had health things happening to me. I think I had COVID. Pretty sure I had COVID. Didn't realize I had COVID till after the fact because it wasn't the normal COVID symptoms that most people talk about being, flu-like. Mine was just this intense exnostion physically, mentally. And then this headache that I've never experienced in my life. Like stabbing, nothing helped it, nothing. Yep. And so that kind of kicked it off. And then I had, because I have retinopathy, I'm diabetic. I had a bleed in one of my eyes. Never had it happen before. Yeah. So now I'm taking every 7 to 8 weeks, I'm taking injections in my eyes. Then I had, this is like one right after the other. Then I had a call back on my mammogram because they found something new.
Yeah, they did.
Yep. And
left side?
Yeah.
But at the bottom.
they made me come back, and they said that they're just going to check me in 6 months. It doesn't look like anything, but they want to monitor me in 6 months.
I see something, but I don't think it's cancer.
No, it's what do they call them? Calcifications?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like 3 mini grapes.
Yes. So that was that, but I'm going through all this. Then he laughs at me about this, but when you're in the middle of all of this, it means it's a lot. I got the summons for grand freaking jury duty. And 2 months, twice a week, in December and January, in the midst of all of this stuff. I got to go get injections in my eyes, all this stuff. I went into a spiral. And I was probably as low as it comes. And I was losing it. And it took me, that was probably October through, I would say through till maybe last month, when I started to turn around and come out of it. I sort of dug in to myself. And I was so withdrawn from everybody. Like I was just withdrawn from everybody. I didn't want to leave my house. I only left my house for doctor's appointments. I didn't talk to people a lot. But I did start to turn that around, because I really looked inside myself and said, okay, you've got to stop. And you've got to work your way out of this, because like you said, it wasn't really a depression. It was just like this spiral of grief and fear. And it was just, what more can happen at this point? Is that something you would consider on the path to leveling up?
Yeah, you guys are being really linear about it. I don't know how often I've leveled up. And I think leveling up, I want to give you a new definition, is that you suddenly receive more information and support.
Okay.
And it's not every day, right? It's not like that. It's just like, I feel super secure I just feel secure now.
Okay.
I just know that when I need to know something, it's there. I know the information I'm getting is clearer, right?
Okay.
So like for me, higher vibration, but honestly, it never happens without a little fucking drama. Like there always is. There has to be, what they're calling it is like a little death, right? And then you get to like kind of level up. I got COVID. I was sick for 6 weeks with the fatigue. I was really sick for 3 with every symptom on the list, even though I had gotten the shot, right? Like every single, I was like, whatever. And my people told me to get vaccinated in the summer. They're like, you're going to get it bad. You better get vaccinated, but you got to wait until this. Like they told me when. I'm like, all right. My whole family's like, get the shot. Like I live in a bubble. I'm fine. Get the shot.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, could you imagine if I didn't get it, is what I was thinking.
That's what I thought too. Same exact thing.
I think leveling up is just being able to connect maybe easier, stronger, at will, right? Like, so when I started and I get messages, I couldn't control that.
Right.
And now I'm like, oh yeah, I can instantaneously do that.
But this is weird too. Speaking of connecting and stuff like that, we did an investigation at the beginning of February, right when I was starting to turn around, start feeling better emotionally, physically. And I feel like my abilities are opening up more now, more so than they were even in the fall.
Yeah, you feel it in your third chakra. Like when you're feeling stuff, it's like over here.
Yes. Yeah. And it's really weird, because I didn't go into this investigation I didn't have huge expectations. It was just an old farmhouse, and I didn't go into it with a lot of expectations. It had never been checked out before. The owner, the housekeeper, the owner's a true skeptic. The housekeeper has said that she's had some experiences. We had no idea what they were.
Did you see a girl? I feel a girl and a goat.
Yes. I saw a little. I didn't see a goat, but I did see a girl.
Okay.
I did. And I'm starting, and that's what I'm saying though, Holly, is that I'm starting to, in my mind's eye, see people now. That's something that never happened to me before.
That's
I take that
leveling
back
up.
once. Yeah, I take that back once it did, but this was different. This was like I could literally see a little boy and a little girl running around the tree chasing each other. And I knew what they were. I mean, it was so real.
Mm-hmm.
And things happened at that investigation that were literally the next level up from where I had been before. And
you've gone in with an inquisitive mind and you do research and like you love all the history of it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I tell people I won't Google them or I don't look them up before they come for a session because that's cheating.
Yep.
So I think what's happening for you is that part of your intuition and your gift that is opened. So that would be like a level up. But I think it's not like a Reiki 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's not you pay $6,000 in 5 installments over 12 years. So I make $1 billion and you will level. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It's that
there's no prescription for it. It's a personal thing.
Yeah, I know people who have gifts and they never level up. They just have a gift.
Yeah.
And that's their gift and they're good at it and they're comfortable in that.
Right.
And they don't want more than that. Right? That's just what they do.
I didn't think I did, but apparently I do because now I'm starting to move into a whole other area that I wasn't really expecting or even prepared for. Put it that way.
You're going to hear a lot of music too. I can't tell if it's for you to channel to write or something else, but I'm kind of
I can't sing, so.
Neither can I, but it doesn't mean I don't.
True. I'll sing to Todd. Todd, I'll sing to you anytime.
No, he's like, no.
No, I'm good. Thanks. Look at the look.
I started praying very quickly to lose my hearing. So
nice.
There was something else I wanted to ask you about, kind of looping back to the beginning, because I'm sure, did you listen to last week's episode?
The part where you were sad?
Yes. Okay. I just want to ask you your take on everything going on, because a lot of people will say that you should just stay away from social media. You should just stay away from the news. But it's not that easy, because before social media, before the news, strong empaths were still dealing with this stuff. It comes to you regardless of whether you see a picture or a video or hear the words. And that's how I'm feeling. No matter how much I stay away, no matter how much I watch, it doesn't matter. I'm having a really hard time. And I'm putting up as many walls as I can. I'm compartmentalizing as much as I can. I do understand that it's not my fear, my anxiety, my, terror, that it belongs to someone else. But it's hard to not have me become them.
Yeah, I think for a few things I would ask when you're doing your thing, maybe I'll just zap you a little, but like that part of your gift is that you don't have to relive it for them.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I'm going to say that you've leveled up and you have more give, right? More acuity. Is that the right word? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
That you ask that you don't feel it all day, or that you can ask that I don't have to experience the fine details to know the truth.
Okay.
So you can ask to receive the message a little differently. The thing is, you have plenty of boundaries, but you're open. And so it's like literally on the right side of your head. I'm seeing it like here, this big opening that you're receiving information. So you could be like, and now I don't want to hear it anymore, world.
Yep.
So again, people might think I'm joking, but I honestly watch K-dramas to help me do that. Different culture. It's all very sweet. I'm reading television, or you can read a book, like just to disengage from that. It's really hard. I think as an empath, when I get overwhelmed, the thing that honestly helps me the most is going for a walk in nature, or literally gardening. Or really honestly touching a tree and getting barefoot. It is, my husband even does it, but so our garden is quite big now. But there's just something about the healing nature of Earth, right? So this stuff in like the screen isn't real. It's addicting. I mean, who's not addicted, right?
Right.
But the truth of your reality is in that dirt.
Yeah.
And then you gotta honestly just not watch. You don't need much to know what's going on. Right. No. So again, that's when I tap into the light grid. I want to be part of the light grid of the planet. I want to be a speck of light here instead.
it's funny that you say all that about outside, because when I take Spike out 3-4 times a day, that's when I feel most at peace. Outside, even if it's winter and snowy or rainy or icy, that's when I feel the most at peace.
Yeah.
Is when I'm out in the
And you can ask to receive. So when I go for a walk, I'm usually reaching out to nature, and I ask to bring that peace in. And then you can Shawshank Redemption the negativity out the bottom of your feet. So imagine as you're walking, little pebbles or gray mist or whatever you want, right? Just, or you can imagine, for Todd, it would be imagining your footprints or actually seeing them. So if it's raining, you actually see it behind you. And that's any pain, confusion, or empathic gifts they're not serving you to feel it, that you let it go, but that you bring in the love and power of nature in. Usually when you start doing that, animals will rustle by you, or birds, or God forbid a sticky bug. But
Todd, she actually mentioned gardening. You heard about my garden.
Yeah, but you're not the one doing the gardening. You want to have kids come in, clear it. You want to, and then you want bunnies to eat it. So there's really no gardening going on. But you're going to pay somebody to come in, clear the land, throw the seeds in, and walk away.
I'm throwing the seeds in. It's for the animals, but it's nature. I'm going to help the bees by planting flowers that they'll enjoy.
We'll see how this goes.
That's my connection to nature and gardening.
You got to do what we did. We had bird seed last year that was full of corn and sunflower seeds, and the birds would scatter them, and we had little stalks of corn and sunflowers.
I love it. I actually bought hay. I bought Timothy hay for the bunnies. So I take hay out to the bunnies and critter food, and he just shakes his head and makes fun of me constantly.
Yeah, and then you got a salt scrub. You got a salt scrub, and I spray my bed every night before I go to bed with eucalyptus spray.
Oh, okay.
So that's high vibing. So I'm like, nothing's meeting me in my dreams tonight. Shh.
That's a great idea, because I do tell them to stay away from me, because I find that when I don't like say goodnight, so to speak, I have some of the strangest dreams in the world, like so strange. But on the nights when I actually do stop and say, please let me sleep tonight, good night, blah, 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 I sleep much, much better.
You can do that with your empathic gifts too. This is too much today. Take it away. I can't. Okay. When it started in the Ukraine, it was awful. The Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
That was so hard for me. Mm-hmm. The beginning of COVID wrecked me. I went into a full depression because it was just too much to process for me. And I didn't know about COVID. I just knew something was coming, but they didn't tell me what. Yes. They're like, nothing's going to happen for a while. I was like, what do you mean nothing's going to happen?
For a while.
For a while. I didn't think it was this long, but that's because the evil people, the reptilians, are in control. And
yeah, the beginning of COVID was horrible. Todd will attest to that. It was horrible for me. And then I did well. And then this came along, and it was a whole different set of emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been pretty rough.
For you right now, it really is. I'm seeing a lot of lapis. So lapis, the stone, which is about communication, it's third chakra. I just think it is about you sharing that message in some way. And we might not know what it is yet. I would probably journal it, all of those empathic feelings, so that in the future, maybe you're the one who's going to be like, hey, this was my journey.
Right.
And this is what worked for me. And this is what didn't. And I got this headache when this, you should just start paying attention to the symptoms you get and I feel like you'll be pretty linear that way. Like, this symptom means this symptom means that. And then you'll then be like, oh, I know these two things are going on, and I don't want to feel those anymore today because I want to rock my job. So I'm going to turn that off a little.
Right.
Now, I don't know anyone who can turn it completely off as an empath, but you manage a little bit. That and Pharmagaba. Do you know?
What's that?
We have no idea what it is.
People at the radio, you should have seen the eyeballs. GABA is I take it in a pill form. It's natural, but it just helps deal with anxiety.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You need that, Sandy.
I know.
It's on my my favorite things on my website.
Oh, I'm going to have to look for it.
Yeah.
Pharma-GABA. Because I didn't know what it was. It was a dance. It was some music. I wasn't sure. Well, you need Pharma-GABA in your life.
Not a dance, because if I had to watch that.
He's definitely been through a lot with me. We'll just put it that way.
I like Pharma-GABA and I like L-theanine. I never say that right. So whatever, that's on my website as well. And that at night, if your brain is spinning, the L-theanine, whatever, just helps your brain not spin so fast.
I've been enjoying the muscle relaxers at night. Those are really nice. They are my best friend. So would you be able to do a little something for us to close out, some sort of protection thing that we can put in the podcast that people could hear, listen to, and maybe do a little protection for themselves?
How about just a little ease? How about we just channel a little protection in the form of ease?
Okay.
That works.
Did that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So for everyone who wants a little protection now, I'm going to give it in the form of ease and maybe less stress in your body. And that's how I want it to manifest and feel, just so everyone knows what I'm working towards. All right. So I'm going to call upon Mother, Father, God in this time, in this place, in this moment. And I ask for healing and light. I want you to imagine that heaven is sending a beam of light directly around you. And it is huge. I want you to imagine that this light doesn't just surround you, but maybe it's as big as your home, as big as your road. And within this stream of light, there is a message for you on a silver thread that's coming down around you and weaving all around you. I want you to imagine a suit of protection. It can be a literal suit. It can be a cocoon, or even sound waves weaving all around you. Protection never restricts. Instead, it gives your body a moment to relax. It gives you time to heal and recuperate. This beautiful heavenly light is there to ease whatever burden you're experiencing. You might feel your body getting a little warm. You might notice that your jaw relaxes, that your shoulders come down some. I want you to pay attention to how a chair is coming up against you, or how your feet are on the earth, and how those soften to meet you in this beautiful light of peace and tranquility and of safety. And in this beautiful cocoon of light, we're going to cut any cords or any negative energy that might be coming towards you. And we're going to give those cords up to heaven to manage and take away. And any little sneaky things that are trying to come up from your feet, we're going to put more light underneath there. It's okay if your mind wanders, or if you doubt or don't understand. It's okay if you don't feel this. You don't have to for it to work. Now I'm going to add beautiful color gold into this beautiful beam of light. That is how I see God's love. A beautiful shimmering gold leaf. It looks so delicate and yet is profound. This gold leaf is being woven into this boundary of protection. I want you to take a deep breath in and sigh it out. We're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to inhale peace and exhale hate. We're going to inhale love and exhale distrust. Inside this light, you are safe and no harm can come to you. Inside this space, you can ask your guides, God, angels, or whoever you want for help. They will hear you. You are worth it. I ask that this healing continue and follow you for the rest of the week. And know that you can call upon this light anytime you want. It's always there for you. I'm going to thank your guides, angels, and God, all these heavenly beings, for coming here and helping us. I always end with a good amen, so they know we're done. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Amen.
Yay!
I like that. That did bring me peace.
Good. I'm glad. Todd's doubt weaves in.
Not at all. I'm
I
sitting
love
here.
how she has your number.
She's wrong. I was sitting there going, wow. And then I opened my eyes toward the end, and it was like I had this weird filter over my eyes.
Yeah.
So, again, we appreciate you so much.
Oh, we do. We love you.
Yeah, I mean,
Back.
we say that, but it's like there's,
No, I mean it.
No, we do. I know. It's like, I feel like it's been forever and we need to do this more often.
All right, so you take care of yourselves.
One of the things that did not make the cut was getting to see Holly's daughter.
Yeah, I know.
At the beginning.
I love her. I absolutely love her.
She's just very, very, and I'm going to say this and it's going to sound horrible, but she's just very special.
Yeah. No,
I can't explain it, but like there's a place in my heart for not just Holly and her family, but her daughter too. Like you know.
Yeah, and she's very grounded. She has abilities as well. She's 13 years old. She has abilities, and she's very grounded. And Holly has raised her to something I wish I had growing up. Raised her to understand that she does have them, that she is different, not in a bad way, but she is different, and how to maybe make it easier for her to grow and develop, not just with abilities, but as a young woman into an adult and deal with everyday life. And she's just a very grounded girl, and I adore her. And she loves us.
Which I don't understand.
I have no idea,
don't get
but
it.
she loves us.
We're like 50 years old. It's like, how do you like us? We're about as square as it comes.
We are. She and Holly listen to our podcast every single week, and they talk about us. You'll hear a little bit about it on the show. And it's a wonderful connection that we've made with Holly and her family.
And we got to meet her husband, Man Candy, which is always nice.
She's gonna kill us. Yep, Man Candy was there, and it was a really fun time. We have to get her back on soon again, because there's nothing that we ever run out of when it comes to Holly. We could talk about just about anything, and we did. I
want to actually meet up. I want us all to get together and hang out and do something fun.
We talked about that. We can have from Syracuse Airport. We can have a direct flight into Charlotte So that would be easy for us for a weekend or something.
What do we do in Charlotte, though? What's in Charlotte?
Oh, there's a lot to do in Charlotte. Charlotte is extremely historic, and it's also full of energy. So we would have a blast if we went down.
Is Charlotte more Yankee or more Southern, would you say?
Well, today I think they pretty much walk that line, but today I consider them to be more of a Southern area. Yeah. The hospitality is wonderful down there. I've never been down there, but I've spent a lot of time in the South.
I don't like Southern hospitality because it's all fake. They're nice to your face, and then they stab you in the back. Don't you, Southerners? Don't you?
I know what you're talking about, but I will tell you this. The East Coast Southerners are sort of a different breed. They really are, because a lot of them either are have traveled down there from the north to live and work, or they've just grown up with a lot of the northern. It's just a different way of life. It really is a different way of life. We've seen it in Georgia, in Savannah. We saw it in South Carolina. Even when you get down into Washington, D.C., Virginia is like that. Virginia has some really nice, wonderful people. It's just a different kind of hospitality than you see in maybe the deeper South. We'll put it that way. Not that there are bad people in the South at all.
Oh, no, I'll say it. I'll say it.
I have not had that bad of experience, but I never lived there. I just went down to the big places to vacation, so I don't know. But the East Coast Southern grouping of states, the people are really wonderful. Really, really wonderful people.
Well, wonderful. I think next week on the podcast, our friend Erin Mazza is on. Is that correct?
Yes, they will be with us. And this is going to be a really, really cool episode. I say that all the time. But this one will be because we love Erin. And Erin not only has their own podcast, The Witching Hour with Erin Mazza, but has just signed a really cool deal with one of the bigger metaphysical publishing companies, Llewellyn. And so it'll be a really, really great episode. We're going to discuss all kinds of things witchy and you name it. I think we're going to talk about it. So maybe we'll talk about some protection with Erin as well. I'm kind of on this protection kick now. So maybe we'll talk about it with them too. Sounds good. You want to do a quick rap in the voice of the announcer from the 1930s? I don't know if I can do it. I can't do it like yours. Our voices are way too different, our styles. All right. But I'll do my spiel. So please make sure that you like our Facebook page, The Sandy and Toddcast. You guys know how that works. Just like our page. Make sure you watch for all of our new episodes to come out. We're really in that. Todd's still trying to get his leg in order and get things going, but we will be back to some live casts hopefully very soon to keep you guys entertained. We have a side project called Mind Garden Media where Todd and I can actually help you get your podcast started, and we can actually edit and produce your podcast episodes for you. We are Mind Garden Media. You can find us on Facebook. Make sure you like that page as well. You can find our other Mind Garden podcasts on that page too. The Empathic Harry podcast, sort of another side project we've been doing. We haven't done a new episode in a while, but there is a new one. We're just talking about it, a new one coming out soon. So like that page, follow that page. You can find us on any of the platforms. There's a million platforms you can find us on where you listen to your podcasts. We have a great group called Stay Weirdos, Friends of the Sandy and Toddcast. Always sharing. It's a safe place to just share your thoughts, ideas, feelings, questions, and we all have a great time over there. Big thank you, as always, to Dan Phillips for providing us with some of the music that we use in the Sandy and Toddcast each and every week. You can find his info in our show notes. And I think that's it, right? I think that's everything. Yeah. All right. We got it. So till the next podcast, it's the Sandy and Toddcast saying bye. Bye.